Hello, sir. My name is Thelma Abigail, and I am from the National Prehistoric Society National Investigation Sorority. And your name has come up to interview you. May I ask you a few questions?
Yes,
Yeah, okay. What is your name?
Pat, Conscience.
Okay. May I call you Pat?
Yes, well,
Pat, I understand that you're from a family of 14 children. Is that correct?
yes.
And where do you fall in that category?
I was right in the middle, number 7.
Number 7, wow. Um, and Pat, may I ask you, what is your greatest memory growing up with all those brothers and sisters?
The loving care that each one of us give one another.
Well, that's just wonderful. And Pat, I believe that, from what I understand, that you were raised by what we would call Momo and Papa. Is that correct?
Well, that's what the grandkids call them.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. Sir. And what would you say that Momo and Papa would say their fondest memory is of you?
Probably when I got a scholarship to go to college.
Oh, that is just wonderful. And where was that?
Lamar University.
I'm sure they were so proud of you. And, Mr. Consian, let me just ask you this. Back in those days, um, these children that are watching this, they have so much nowadays. That did you have a TV?
No.
Oh my. And then
Late.
And let me just ask you, did you ever have a TV while growing up?
No.
Oh my. So excuse me, sir?
But I bought my mom and dad a TV when I was in service. And there was still about 5 or 6 of my brothers and sisters home.
Oh, bless your heart. I bet they were just so pleased to get that TV.
It was black and white. Black and white.
Black and white. Black and white. My. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Consien. My name's Annie Pacheco, and I wanted to take over for Thelma, who had to leave for an emergency. And so I have the questions that she was going to ask you. One of the questions that we wanted to know in the Prehistoric Society was, what is something no one else would know about your family? Parents, your brothers and sisters, something that you would know.
How loving and care my mom and dad were.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. And then one of your most disappointing moments. We always talk about our most greatest accomplishments, but what was one of your most disappointing moments growing up?
There were several, but the most important one was when I was in Catholic school. I heard that there wasn't going to be no 8th grade, and all the kids from the Netherlands were going to public school. So I told my mother, and she said, okay. So I went, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I was having a ball because there's a lot of girls. I was playing football, and it turned out for football, and everything was going great. And then 2 weeks later, Father Hardy talked to my dad at the back of the church and wanted to know where I was. Why wasn't I in school? And anyway, my dad gave me a kind of a look on the side, and Monday morning I was at Catholic school. And I went to school with two girls and myself in the 8th grade, and they both wasn't from Nederland. They were from my town. They were from another town.
Bummer. Does that mean you couldn't play football in 8th grade?
No.
Okay. And then something something that if they were to describe you in one word, what would that one word be if somebody were to describe you in one word growing up? Were you the most athletic? Were you the most romantic? Were you the, just that one word?
I just think I was ordinary. I was nothing special.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I'm sure Thelma will be back for the rest of the interview.
His wife had went through all time.
Yes. And what about Beatrice?
Beatrice was my all-time little buddy.
Oh,
You know, we were very, very close. I remember we would go out in the front room and dance. And she was a great little dancer, and we always had a lot of fun.
Mr. Conscien, I've heard you're such a wonderful country western dancer. Would you credit Beatrice for that?
No, because when I learned to dance, it was like a waltz, and it was my sisters Teresa and Marion that insisted that I learn.
Oh, well, bless them, because Mr. Conscien, I've heard that you are a wonderful country western dancer. Mr. Conscien, I wanted to ask you one last question before we took a break, just in case you needed a cigarette break. What sibling would you say influenced you the most growing up? I mean, I'm sure they're all just jewels, but there must be a few that just really influenced.
Well, my sister Beatrice, just younger than I, and definitely my sister Marion and Teresa, because they was the one that seen that I had a little money to go out on dates on weekends, and sometimes they'd give me, say, $5, which is a lot of money then.
Oh, that's just
And I would use it to go put my hip back in place,
Oh,
because
my.
my hip would go out in football. And probably the one that's the most influence to me was my brother Anthony, because he was an older brother and I admired him. And he used to tell me all the time, Pat, don't be a loser. Be a winner. And I remembered that when I left home and come to Washington and had to start all over in my life, so to speak, as far as career was concerned. And I remember those words. He had a great influence, and I admired him a lot.
Well, that's just wonderful. And plus, the gum that your sister, you mentioned, that gave you, that was probably for some of those good dates, don't you think?
What was this?
That was probably for some of those dates that you went on, don't you think?
Oh, they were responsible.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
responsible.
Oh, we are here back with Pat Conscien, and we're here talking about your upbringing as the Catholic religion. And I so relate, Mr. Pat Conscien. As I was growing up, I had very different veils that my parents requested that I wear. And so this is what they looked like. All the girls had to wear these. And Mr. Conscien, I just want to ask you, we had to wear gloves too. What was your experience growing up and going to church with all those brothers and sisters?
Well, obviously we couldn't all get in the same car, so
Oh, sure.
and mom and dad and the younger ones would go to the early mass, and the older ones would go to the second mass.
And which one were you, since you were in the middle?
I was at one time or other, I was both.
Oh, okay. And what was your experience like getting ready in the morning with your
Well, my dad, uh, he wasn't too much in getting the kids dressed. He would get dressed, and he'd go out in the car and read the paper and blow the horn, and there was mom trying to get everybody ready. And I didn't think that was proper
Well,
in those days.
would your mother press his shirt and his pants so he could get ready?
She did everything. I do remember one time when I was